engine compartment, wheels, wheel wells, trunk, underbody, interior shampoo and vacuum, glass cleaned inside and out, washed, polished, and waxed as elegant as the day you first took your car home. If you're in a hurry, don't worry. Andy provides a shuttle service to and from. The kids are bored? Relax. There's a play area and coloring books as well. At Automotive Elegance, your car will be cleaned and beautified in a way that you never thought possible. So stop in today, because for a limited time, if you mention WVIP, you'll save $25 off complete detail work and $5 off any hand wash, interior or exterior. Automotive Elegance, that's the place. 330 Lexington Avenue, Mount Kisco. Phone 666-0808. They're open 7 days. The number again, 666-0808.
And good morning and welcome to Mondays here at WVIP. It's the 10th day of June, and our very special guest, as always on Monday mornings, Mary Michele is here. And I have to tell you, I mentioned this earlier on the air, I watched you at Hopfields. I didn't realize you were such a celebrity. I mean, other than in our hearts.
Oh, Mike. Well, good morning. It's good to see you, too. And what can I say? I've had a very checkered past.
I thought do you want to? No, we're not going to do that. Mary Michele takes your calls on astrology at 241-1310. This is a great time. We do have open lines, 241-1310. I know you wanted to talk about a couple of things today. You and I were commenting, both of us wear reading glasses. And so you said you were going to talk about the Iliad, and I said, that's got small print. And what's the parable when you talk about astrology in the Iliad?
Well, astrology is really dealing with myths. You know, it's the mythology of the different planets and gods and signs. There are always stories attached to them. And I thought that I would bring up the story today of what caused the Trojan War. So this is what happened in the Iliad and then on into the Odyssey. The Odyssey was the story, of course, of Ulysses, because the Greek word for Ulysses is Odyssey. Anyway, Ulysses was one of the characters that figured in the Trojan War, and really the way it started had to do with the nature of the three goddesses, or the three phases of the moon, as I talk about a lot in astrology. And what happened was the three goddesses, Hera, or Juno, who is the the queen of the gods, Minerva, or Pallas Athena, who is born out of the head of Zeus or Jupiter. She was the goddess of wisdom. So Hera, Juno, was the goddess of power, because she was the queen of the gods. Minerva was the goddess of wisdom. And the final goddess, of course, was Venus, the goddess of love. And the story was that there was a great feast, or a great wedding that happened, and it was between Thetis and Pelleas, I think, and everybody was invited to this wedding except for the goddess Eris, or Discord. And because she wasn't invited, she came anyway, kind of like the story of the Sleeping Beauty. And she threw a golden apple down with the words, "For the fairest of all." Now, this can mean a lot of things. Who is the fairest of all? And what happened was Jupiter didn't want to make this decision, because he knew he was behind the eight ball, and no matter who he chose, he was going to be into trouble. So he turned the problem over to a shepherd that he plucked out of the hillside somewhere, called Paris. And Paris was required to come and make this decision between the three goddesses of who was the fairest of all. Well, Paris, being a young guy, decided that he really was had the most interest in what kind of a wife he was going to have. And Venus told him that she would pick for him the fairest wife of all. So he picked Venus of the three goddesses. He picked love over wisdom and power. Well, what happened with the Trojan War was, well, it's kind of a long story, but the main thing that happened was that for a long time it looked like Troy was going to win. And Troy, of course, was backed by Venus. The other two backed Greece. Hera and Minerva, they backed Greece. And in the long run, it was Greece that won. So I think that this is kind of a parable about how initially love or beauty is something that is very much a part of our life, and I don't think we should ever lose it. But in the long run, perhaps what we really want to pay attention to is the nature of power and wisdom. These are all words that, I realize are loaded. We can have endless discussions about, which is more important, wisdom or power or beauty. But anyway, the point is that these are the kinds of stories that the Greeks told. And the reason why they told them were so we could contemplate and think about how these things come up in our life every day, how we have to make these choices. And we do. We're constantly making choices. Are we reacting on an emotional level? Are we reacting on an intellectual level? Are we, reacting from a place of wisdom?
I lost count because I didn't buy the dollar scorecard for all the gods here. You mentioned wisdom, power, and beauty. We're talking to Mary Michele, taking your calls at 241-1310. Are there certain people born under certain astrological signs that are interested in the wisdom, that are interested in the power, that are interested in the beauty? For instance, is somebody who's a Taurus more interested in A, B, or C?
Taurus is ruled by the planet Venus. So Taurus will probably go initially for that which is the most sensuous, that affects the five senses, and usually we put love and beauty in that category, not necessarily wisdom and power. Now, this doesn't mean that Taurus people do not have the potential for wisdom and power, but Venus is it's the strongest thing in their chart. Let's see, what would be, Jupiter is the king of the gods, and everybody has Jupiter in their chart. So Jupiter is the male equivalent of Juno or Hera. Hera was the queen of the gods, Jupiter's wife. So where you have Jupiter in your chart is where you are going to experience the power of the nature of power and what it means. Jupiter as the planet rules the sign of Sagittarius. So Sagittarians are definitely people that perhaps might not be into money, but they might be into, having wisdom and understanding. We think of Sagittarians as being people that deal with the law, science, higher education, philosophy, and all of these things are the kinds of things that bring you power. Now, the more negative side of Sagittarius or Jupiter would be people that try to have power over other people, try to manipulate, and being of the mind and being sort of wise and understanding the nature of information. Sagittarius or strong Jupiterian people can be manipulative that way. They can use power to their, to the destructive end. Of course, it's not just Sagittarius, it's all the signs. But the point is we all have Sagittarius in our chart and we all have Jupiter in our chart. This is where astrology can be very confusing, I realize. But the sun sign, Sagittarius, it's where the sun was at the time that you were born. This is, it's important for you to realize the nature of power. Power, beauty, what was the other one?
Wisdom.
Wisdom, okay. Wisdom would really be probably come through the sign of Scorpio. The other character that we relate to wisdom other than Minerva is Pallas Athena. Pallas Athena was the goddess of wisdom. She was born out of the head of Zeus. She was the warrior goddess that allowed people to, instead of, going into battle directly, she would allow people to negotiate or think about, how they want to strategically plan the battle. So Scorpio is it's a sign that very much likes to strategically plan. They very rarely let other people know what they're thinking. It's a sign of secrecy. It's a sign of I don't know. What can I say about Scorpio? They're detectives. They're the psychic detectives. They're very into psychology. They will be very good always at finding your weak point. Now, the nature of being able to find somebody's weak point, like a good psychologist, is that they will then, in turn, allow them to help themselves to see themselves more clearly, so they will bring them wisdom. Wisdom comes from knowing yourself. So, a good Scorpio ratio will allow you to get closer to understanding the nature of your own being. That's what they're very adept at. So that really kind of covers, I think, the three goddesses.
Wisdom, power, and beauty. We're talking to Mary Michele. This is WVIP. If you have a question about astrology, want a little reading, 241-1310, the number to call. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
There's a new way. A new way to buy or lease a new Ford car, truck, or van. There's a new way. It's the Fairway at Fairway Ford, Westchester's newest and nicest Ford dealership. And during our grand opening now through this Saturday, you can save big from MSRP on over 100 new Ford cars and trucks. Even hard-to-find models like V8 Explorers and 97 F-150 pickups. There's a new way, a new place for Ford service and maintenance with ASE-certified factory-trained technicians in a clean, state-of-the-art facility. Fairway will service any Ford, Lincoln, or Mercury vehicle, no matter where you bought it. There's a new way. Fairway Ford will beat any Ford dealer's advertised price. Just bring their ad. It's that simple. There's a new way at Fairway Ford, where the fairway is our way. Fairway Ford off Sawmill Parkway at exit 37, 255 Kisco Avenue in Mount Kisco, New York. Call 914-666-0500 for easy directions. Fairway Ford.
Okay, let's get to the phones now. I hope this is correct. Yes. Joyce is calling from Shenorock. She is watching on cable channel 12. Joyce, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, your date of birth, if I'm correct, is May 3rd, 1933.
Yes.
Okay, you're on with Mary Michele, Joyce.
Thank you.
Did you have a particular question?
Well, I want to find out about a move that we're planning on making.
Okay. May 3rd, 1933. Okay. Sorry. I'm getting there.
It's okay.
Okay. You were born with the sun in Taurus and the moon in Leo. Okay, that's a hard angle. So that means that the unconscious, your moon, the mother side of you, the feminine, there's a little bit of a theatrical bent here. You have Mercury in Aries, Venus in Taurus, Mars in Virgo. Okay, in terms of anything to do with the material world, real estate or money or objects that are important to you and that kind of thing, there is a harmonious angle that's going on for most of this year. It started in January. Did you start thinking about moving in January?
Yes.
Yeah. It's if there wasn't something, made concrete by the 1st of May, then the odds are it probably won't become a concrete reality until the fall. But it will become one. It's a very positive aspect. It's just that the summer, there's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of confusion. Were you planning on moving soon?
No, towards the winter.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, it's have you? Is there difficulty in selling the place that you're in, or leaving it behind, or?
No.
Okay.
No problem.
No problem. And have you got someplace that you're looking to go?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I really see the move as having, you might be a little nervous about it with these 3 planets in Virgo, Mars, Jupiter, Neptune. You might be over anxious and worry a little bit too much. Particularly as it gets closer to the actual date of your moving. But, I think it's a very good, there's a very strong chance and things will work out that way.
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for calling. 241-1310, the number to call, 241-1310. Mary Michele, I have never asked you this question. How did you get into astrology?
Well, astrology, as I started talking about today, to me is it's the nature of telling stories, mythology, history, and realizing that there's a reason behind why we come up with these stories, why we start thinking about, these archetypes of people, whether it's Mars or Venus or Jupiter or, some of the characters that exist in, the Celtic mythology or the Aztec mythology, all of these, or the Egyptians, all of these characters, I think, represent different parts of our psyche. And, as a small child, I loved to be read to. I loved to have stories read to me, whether it was stories like Peter Pan or The Sleeping Beauty or Snow White. Snow White, I think, sort of figured into the story that I was talking about this morning with the apple, But all of these, there's something very, a little scary, but also quite soothing about these stories, in the sense that they kind of make you realize that there is an order to things. Now, it may not always work out exactly as it does in the story, but there is an order, and mythology is about that. It's about the order of the imagination.
All right, well, that answers that. We're going to be talking to Ellen and to Marilyn just a couple of seconds away. 241-1310, the number to call from Mary Michele. Back in 1 minute.
Anything a big city bank can do, MSB can do. Plus, a few things they can't do. Here's MSB versus a big city bank.
MSB offers a range of financial products and services.
We do that.
MSB is skilled in handling complex transactions, such as capitalization deals.
We are too.
MSB has experienced primary lenders.
Oh, so do we.
MSB is very flexible.
Flexibility isn't everything.
MSB is strong in mortgages and retail real estate participation.
Well, frankly, we have little interest in real estate.
MSB builds strong personal relationships.
Oh, you can't expect us to remember everybody's name.
MSB has served this area for 127 years.
We're too busy downsizing to comment on that.
We know our communities and our people.
Well, of course you do. You live there.
MSB. Why on earth would a business like yours want to bank any place else? Let's grow together.
MSB Bank, member FDIC, equal opportunity lender.
All right, we're talking to Mary Michele, taking your calls at 241-1310. Ellen is on the line. Date of birth, October 13th, 1964. Ellen, good morning. You're on with Mary Michele.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you, Ellen?
I'm fine, thanks. I wanted to ask you, my husband and I are just starting to look for our first house together, and I wanted to know, what do you see for us?
Okay. You have the sun in Libra, as you know, and the moon in Capricorn. This is a hard angle. You're someone that is in a position or would like to be in a position of authority in just about every area, and you're good at it. You're a good leader and so on. But with the moon, sometimes this can be a little difficult. There's a little bit too much structure. You try to structure your unconscious in ways that might be difficult. Anyway, in terms of moving or buying a home, this moon in Capricorn is working to your advantage this year. Jupiter's in Capricorn. The urge to expand is big. It's great. And it's probably a very strong possibility. You have Venus in Virgo, Jupiter in Taurus, Uranus in Virgo, Pluto in Virgo. So there's a lot of earth in your chart. You're very grounded. And do you own your own home now? No.
No.
Having all that earth, it's important for you to have solid real estate, like the earth. You want to have something solid underneath your feet. And this year, with the planet Jupiter trining all these planets in Virgo and conjoining the moon, have you looked at houses? Have you looked at anything that has large open spaces in it?
Somewhat. Not quite.
Well, is your need to have big rooms? Do you like big rooms? Is that...
Oh, well, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's, I think, important for you to go after that. If you have fewer rooms, but the rooms are bigger,
right.
I think that's important. That will help satisfy your unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the odds are pretty good in terms of you finding a house this year because, as I say, Jupiter is helping you with that. Don't worry so much about the money. I think the money will come. It probably won't come right away, but, if you have to take a mortgage and you have to take some time with all of this, realize that it will work itself out, and don't make yourself very anxious about how long it's going to take for it to work out.
Okay.
Okay?
Very good. Thanks so much.
Thanks for
Yeah, you
calling.
also have a lot of bills to pay there, closing costs, things like that. Who knows? Marilyn is here watching on Cable Channel 12 up in Somers. Her date of birth is January 20th, 1953. Good morning, Marilyn. You're on with Mary Michele.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, how are you?
The reason I'm calling is I guess I want to know more about, I seem to be having failing in relationships, and who should I really be directing myself toward?
Okay. 12053. Okay, you were born on the last day of Capricorn, so there is, do you know what time of day you were born?
No, I don't.
If you could find out, it might be a good idea, because if you were born at night, the odds are you were born under the sign of Aquarius. So, I would try to find that out, because the sun is kind of important to know whether you're a Capricorn or Aquarius, and it will depend on the time. You were born here in this country?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you could, that would be helpful. You do have the moon in Aries. The planet Saturn went into the sign of Aries in April, so you're going to be examining your unconscious in ways that you haven't done for quite some time, and it's going to be over the next 2 years. I think we always have to go back to the parental structure in terms of trying to understand the way we deal with relationships. And I think for you at the moment, it's going to be about looking at the way your mother taught you to work with relationships. There's no blame attached to your mother. It's just that is how you learned how to relate to other people. And you're going to find over the next 2 years that perhaps the way that you learned how to relate through her way of relating, the way she taught you, her way of unconsciously getting you to understand how to relate to people, is not working for you anymore. So you're going to have to, alter that a little bit. With the moon in Aries, there's a very strong sense of initiative. It's like you might take the initiative quite often with people that come into your life. There might be times when it might be better to be a little more laid back about the people that come in and allow them to take more of the initial action.
All right, I'm married to someone who was born 1/23/54.
Okay.
Now, is this a good match?
1/23/54. Well, we know he is an Aquarius. He was born, definitely under the sign of Aquarius. He's got the moon in Virgo. Now, you see, if you're a Capricorn, that's a good combination. If you're an Aquarius, it's not necessarily Mercury in Aquarius, Venus in Aquarius. He's got a lot of unusual ideas, this guy. What kind of work does he do?
Engineer.
Perfect. He's forward-thinking. You may not always like what he has to say, what the forward-thinking thing is about, and it may not work for you. It may not be, but he will be good at understanding where the collective is going, where the general population is going. He has a strong sense of being in touch with that. I think, let's see, you're a little idealistic about love. You have Venus in Pisces. It's exalted there. It's a very beautiful place for it. But, you might try to find faith in other areas rather than in the area of your relationship. Maybe look into that for a little bit and don't question yourself so much about the personal relationships right now.
All right, fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for calling. Sally and Barbara, we're going to get to you just a couple of seconds away. We're talking to Mary Michele at 241-1310. If you have a question for her, please do dial in. We do have an open line now, 241-1310. Back in 1 minute.
It's here. It's now. It's Westchester's Automotive Best. It's how to buy or lease your next new Toyota, BMW, or certified pre-owned car or truck. Toyota North and Endurance BMW are now together in the Tri-State's finest automotive facility. Over 150 Toyotas and BMWs, over 20,000 square feet. For over 25 years, we've been serving Westchester County with integrity and commitment to excellence. Now you get more. Shop in our all-new 50-car indoor showroom. We're celebrating the move with grand opening savings from MSRP on our entire inventory, including hard-to-find Toyotas and BMWs like 4Runners, RAV4s, and the all-new BMW 328. So whether you buy or lease, it doesn't cost any more to do it in style at the all-new Toyota North and Endurance BMW, 325 Bedford Road in Mount Kisco, New York. Call 914-666-5181 for easy directions.
All right, let's get back to the phones now. Mary Michele is here taking your calls on astrology. Sally is calling from Bedford, watching on cable channel 12. Good morning, Sally. Date of birth, Armistice Day, 1930, 11/11/30. You're on with Mary Michele.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mary Michele. We're planning a trip abroad in October, and I'm a little concerned about it as my 92-year-old mother is not terribly well. What do you think?
In October?
Yes.
Okay, you have the sun in Scorpio, the moon in Cancer. This is a really harmonious angle. This works well. You're conscious and you're unconscious. Mercury in Scorpio, Venus in Sag, Mars in Leo. I think that October is probably a very good time for you to make a journey. Probably towards the end of October would be better. In terms of your mother, I think that there is going to be this push-pull with her, and whether she decides to move on or not. I don't think that. I think you should go ahead and make your plans. I think if you can kind of hedge it a little bit and perhaps not pay for everything right away if possible. But I think it's very important for you having the sun in Scorpio. And other planets there as well, Mercury in Scorpio. The last 13 years have not been a time that it's been easy for you to look after yourself. Things have been coming at you from every different direction. And what we have to do when we have had so many bad, so many things that have disrupted our lives, is we have to find the avenues that are going to make us happy and figure out what it is that we really want. Scorpio lots of times will just keep digging to see, if the desire is really a valid one. And I think you have to kind of allow your belief to have the desire without trying to question it. And, to make these journeys, make the plans of things that are important to you that you would like to do without putting too much pressure on them, and try to remember that the worst is over. Because, it's very easy to remember the bad stuff and say, okay, well, something may happen and I won't be here, and, I have to allow for that contingency and that problem, because really everything's Murphy's Law, and if something bad can happen, it will. You have to let go of that way of thinking, because it's no longer a part of your existence. Now it's about you taking all that you've learned from the difficulties and giving them back. You have a lot of wisdom to give to people. As I was saying earlier, Scorpio is the sign of wisdom, and you have a lot to impart. Anywhere that you could go that would be dealing with ancient civilizations would be good.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
that was wonderful.
Thanks for calling.
We're taking a foreign trip here. Actually, with around here you've got a lot of ancient things too. 70 degrees outside. Let's get to Barbara, who is calling from Somers, watching on cable channel 12. Date of birth is March 15th, 1963. I know somebody else who was born that day.
Same year?
No. Different year.
Different year.
Barbara's much, much younger.
Okay.
Good morning, Barbara.
Thank you.
Good morning. Did you have a particular question?
Yes, I do. My husband and I are trying to buy a house sometime in the fall, and I wondered if it's going to come through or if we're going to have a really hard time at it.
Okay, now, the 15th, right?
Yes.
March 15th. Okay, so you were born with the sun in Pisces and the moon in Scorpio. Again, a very harmonious angle. Mercury in Pisces, Venus in Aquarius. Was there an unusual way of money coming in January? Was there something different? Was there did you have a new idea about making money, or did your husband, or did you acquire a piece of art?
No.
No? Okay. Well, there's something happening with the planet Venus in the sign of Aquarius, whereby there's going to be an unusual way of making money that's going to come in.
That would be nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's not, I don't think it's necessarily about winning the lotto or something like that. I think it's more about coming up with a creative idea that's a little different. Do you work? Do you make money?
Yes, I do.
So it's about coming up with a creative idea that's different from the way that you've normally done it.
Okay.
Okay. Mars and Leo, Jupiter and Pisces. Okay. So you have a Mercury, Jupiter. You're a very philosophical kind of person. Do you teach Sunday school or something like that?
No.
No? Have you ever wanted to?
Yes.
Yeah. You're very good at nurturing, and you have a tremendous amount of compassion. With the Sun, Mercury, and Jupiter all in the sign of Pisces, you have an awful lot to give. Of course, the danger with Pisces always is that you have to be careful of not giving too much, because they tend to the compassion side tends to get a little strong, and then they don't nurture that well within themselves. They don't go down into their own well of emotions and try to take care of that. Okay, real estate. Going back to real estate, that's what you asked me, right?
Mm-hmm.